Okay, we tried to summarize here some of the outcomes of the survey we started formulating. This is not the final version of the survey. We want to, via your collaboration, to improve it and to get interesting results. So the reason why we had this idea, or this colloquium, is that now the Italian Academy is undertaking a big, really big change just in these years. So we want to see which can be the direction for surviving the change. And we thought we can look at the foreign academies, that is, people we have here, that we can ask what they are doing and how they are doing. In this first survey, we have really broad topics, and this is just a base for future and refined surveys. The topics were about programs in foreign universities, students, funding, professors, and tutors. For example, we asked about the number and the restrictions in the programs, the number of enrolled students, how they are planned, new programs, and if there are new and successful programs, maybe, in their universities. About students, we asked about the number, the trend of the enrollment, how much time does it take in their university to graduate, what are the tuition fees, and if there are grants. For funding, we were looking for sources of fundings and some news about their salaries. And about external resources for teaching, there is external professors. We were asking about salaries and the impact of this teaching. And last, for tutoring, we were interested in how tutors are selected, how much students there are per tutor, and what's the impact of tutoring. So these are very, very first results because we just had 7 answers from 7 visiting professors, 5 from Western, what we call the Western universities, and 2 from Eastern universities. And about programs, we have known that even if there are restrictions, these are not related to the number of students that are enrolled. And for planning new programs, sometimes this is a task that is carried out by the faculties, or sometimes this is demanded to administration, just for administrative purposes. Some new and successful programs were about new media, and music or even folklore. Students is really a very, very, very number, from as low as 10 students for a course to more than 300. And the enrollment is a general increase, but there are migrations, so maybe engineering is decreasing in Australia, but it's increasing in India. So maybe students are getting more and more, but they are moving from one country to another country. Possible answer. And sorry, about the time, this is just a time for a 3-year course. And for a 3-year course, it takes roughly from 3 to 4 years. And tuition fees varies a lot, from 0, nothing, to more than $20,000 per year. There are grants that partially cover the tuition fees, or maybe also accommodation. And funding. The basic for funding is government, because there were 7 public universities, funding from tuition fees, but also private funding, something that in Italy we don't have much until now. Salaries are comparable in Western universities. Maybe there are higher salaries in Australia and Canada, but prices are much higher there with respect to the other part of the world. And even there are higher salaries where there is private funding. So maybe this can be interesting. And in Eastern countries, in Eastern university, salaries are very, very, very lower, 1/5 of the average salary. About external resources, there is not much need for external professors, and the salary varies from up to $30,000. And unpaid teaching is generally limited to just seminars, not full courses. except for the open university mentioned by Roberto, for Africa, or from countries that have no...
University of People.
Yes, University of People. Yes, yes, thank you. And tutoring is not always in place, but where tutoring is available, the number of tutors is limited by budget, right? And usually tutors are undergraduate or graduate students, and the selection is demanded to the professor or to a committee. On the average, there are 50 students per tutor. So this is the general situation from foreign countries, 7 foreign countries. And then we try to give the same answers to our faculty from Cagliari, from Italy. And so, programs, which is the limit in programs, they are limited by the number of available professors. If we have professors, we can have programs. If we don't have professors, we reduce programs, and we can't hire too many professors. So you should say, maybe if you have a lot of requests, you can hire a lot of professors. No, this is not the trend. And how do we plan new programs? The start is the faculty, and then the Senato Accademico is the place in which they decide if a new program can be created. Some new programs, but we don't know if they are really successful. We didn't investigate yet. We have tourism, herbal technologies, environmental engineering that is starting to have a prominent place in the engineering courses, computer science, pretty new in Cagliari, and communication studies, very, very new. How many students? We have 600 first-year students in our faculty. There is no much variation. There have been no much variation in the last 3 years, about the same, roughly the same number. And the time to graduate is a bit different. I think maybe it is because it's different the way we teach. Our students can give exams in every year, so it's much more flexible, and maybe much more flexible the final time they need to graduate. Tuition fees, on the average, is 1,000 euros. Grants, we have grants mainly for part of tuition fees and for accommodation. Funding, we have central government that gives a good part of fundings, but we also have many fundings from the regional government. It is not the same in every region in Italy, and from tuition fees. And salaries, they are comparable to the Western universities. External resources. Here in this faculty, we have a reasonable amount of external professors. It is about around 10%, but this is just a rough estimate. By law, we can't have more than 30% of external professors. The annual salary is very, very low. We have 7,000 euros, but it depends on the annual budget of the faculty. If the budget is very low, they are paid less. Really less. And even the number of, depends also on the number of courses, okay? We have unpaid teachers. It's possible. For example, this year we will have a lot of unpaid teachers. The number is increasing. Why? Less, an inferior budget. And finally, about tutoring, we are allowed to have one tutor for each course. In theory, we have a tutor for every 50 students, but this is just theory. So we have or no tutor at all, or maybe one tutor for 5 hours, and for often more than 100 students, but only if the budget allows to have tutors. And the selection is demanded to the professor. So this is, as I say, just a very first survey. We are we have now new questions from your answers, and we are improving and increasing the survey, and we try to spread the survey to other visiting professors to get a few answers to what's the best direction we can try to get.